The Crosstrek allows you to focus more on what you're doing with your life rather than the car that you're driving specifically. I'd rather things just be simple. Give me a car that's satisfying and easy to drive and straightforward, rather than put in a bunch of unnecessary tech and unnecessary development costs and make me pay $40,000 for it. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and we review all new cars here, essentially, here at Daily Motor. Sometimes we get the occasional used car in, but typically it's new cars. And so many of them recently have been unnecessarily overpriced and filled with technology and sort of things that are supposed to justify these ridiculously high price tags, when a lot of times people just need a car to drive. That's where the Crosstrek comes in. This is the sport trim of the new 2024 Subaru Crosstrek. So it's the third highest trim up. There's one more above this. I think it's premium or limited. And then there's the woodland on top of it as well, and that's giving you some more off-road capabilities. But this is sort of a Goldilocks, if you will. It's a sweet spot. You can get two different engines. This one has the larger, more powerful version. It's got some cool styling bits here, and it's got essentially everything you need inside to feel like you could justify the purchase of a new vehicle, but pretty much no unnecessary features. And it checks all of the boxes that you're going to need in this class. I've actually been really satisfied with it, having it here over this week. I think it does a lot of things really well. So I want this to be a review more of highlighting those attributes and then maybe picking out a few of the nitpicks that I would improve upon. But I gotta say, Subaru's done a really great job with this Crosstrek, and this one we're looking at right here, $32,000, just a hair over. Really, we could call it 33. If you opt out of this Alpine green paint, you're looking at closer to 32. But hey, compared to that Bronco Sport we had a few weeks ago, that was what, 44 or 46 or something just absurd like that, I'd take this Crosstrek. So let's start in back as we typically do. Again, looking cool for 2024, some refreshed rear lighting. I think it looks pretty good. I guess before we even get into the very back area, we should talk about what the Crosstrek provides you. It's technically a compact crossover, but it's on the small side of compact crossovers, so it's going to compete with things technically like the RAV4, like the CR-V, the Ford Escape, the Bronco Sport, the Chevy Equinox. But the Subarus come in with standard all-wheel drive, so every one you get is going to have all-wheel drive. And you've got things like approach angle and departure angles and ground clearance that really aren't going to give you amazing off-road capability in this trim without having the Woodland edition. But what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to go out to mountains like you see off in the distance there, or off-road trails, and you're going to be able to kind of bomb down these dirt roads and not be as worried about breaking things or damaging something on the underside of your vehicle. We've got a little bit of off-road footage that I'm going to drop below later on in the video, because we've already taken this and done some off-roading. You can see gotten it a little bit dirty here. So that's what you're dealing with. Essentially, it's enough room for maybe a family of 3, maybe a little tight for a family of 4 once you start putting car seats and strollers and everything in here. But it's got a good amount of capability. Speaking of capability, you can see I just took the returnables with it, and I have not emptied out the trunk yet because running errands today. And I kind of left it in there because it just sort of shows you what sort of space you're working with, gives you an idea on camera here. These are some full-size 30 racks, and they fit in there pretty darn well. Underneath this rubberized mat, we've got a compact spare tire. That's something that's nice to have in this class. Many cars are leaving the spare tire behind these days, and if you're going to be doing some sort of trail off-roading or even just dirt roads, you're probably going to want to have that on you. When you go and fold down the seats, you can see they don't exactly fold nice and flat without adjusting the front seat in front of it there. Let's go take a look at how we can do that. No power liftgate, and honestly, I'm totally okay with that. I find it very easy, even for shorter people, to reach up and close that. One less thing to break, one less thing to cost you money. So let's see, if I were to, well, I could take the headrest out, that's one thing, or I could move the driver's seat forward a little bit. Also, while we're doing this, look at these cool cloth seating accents right here. Okay, so now that that's folded, you can see we do have not a perfectly flat surface, but at least it bridges the gap right here for you to create a little bit of a flatter surface. So pretty nice there. But Very easy to put up. I should mention that it's a very remarkably easy seat to fold up. Sometimes we get these seats that when we try to fold them, it takes a lot of effort to do so. Not the case with this one. Coming in, I'm a 5'10" person, and I've got knee room, and I've got headroom. I mean, and it's a good seat recline as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's one of the first things Alyssa and I noticed when we got this car is we both sat in the back and we're like, oh, okay, it's a good amount of room back here. And on top of that, you've got a USB-C port and a USB-A port. It actually reads out the amperages right there, so good amount of power that it's putting out for you. The doors open pretty wide, so if you are opening, or rather putting car seats in here, you've got a good amount of access to get them in. I'm digging the cloth, I really am. It feels nice. Good amount of space back here. Coming into the front, my only complaints with the cabin area are a little bit of a lack of place to put things. What I'm a bit surprised is I typically carry around a 32-ounce Camelback water bottle, and it actually doesn't fit anywhere in this cabin. It doesn't fit in the door. It doesn't fit in these cup holders down here. And it's a bit strange. You'd think someone doing Subaru-y type things, they're often going to carry those big water bottles on them. So this is what I think is a 24-ounce thermal flask. It's actually Alyssa's. And even that, it doesn't fit firmly into these cup holders. They're kind of tapered. I think the idea is so that you can sort of fit multiple size drinks. But even with these little inserts here, drop that in, it's loose. So that's a bit surprising. Kind of annoyed by that. We've got a wireless device charger here, but phone slide around. Alyssa's got an iPhone 13 mini. I've got my S23 Ultra. And if you take any sort of moderate corner, things slide around unless you have a really grippy case. So the wireless device charger doesn't work particularly well. And that's kind of all you've got for practical storage here. I get that people are going to want a big old easy to use shifter, but it takes away from a lot of the places to put things. So if you come in here and you got 2 people riding around, you're going to have wallets, you're going to have purses, you're going to have sunglasses, maybe a book, some snacks, water, drinks, phones, sunglasses. It's all getting filled up really quick. In fact, you don't have a sunglasses holder up here even. So you're kind of limited to a little bit of door storage. You can see just my wallet in there is taking up a good amount of the door storage. And then a good size center console, you've got that at least, and a little bit of storage right here. I guess I haven't really been utilizing that very well, possibly because it's a bit blocked by this thing. So if Subaru could improve anything in this cabin, it's just that. It's practical storage. But other than that, I think they did a really good job. This sport model's got a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. Feels good in the hands. It's thin. The steering is light. All the controls are fairly easy laid out. You've got this big vertical touchscreen, which Alyssa is a fan of. I'm not a big fan of the vertical layout, but if you do want to see a more in-depth review on it, I've got a full infotainment system breakdown. I find the appearance to be a little cartoony on these newer Subaru systems, and the screen's not very snappy either. But it's functional, and at least it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Some of the other more bargain cars that I've been driving throughout the year are the Chevy Trax, which coincidentally we're actually getting as a 1-week loaner tomorrow. Kind of wish we had that already. So Chevy Trax, and then also the new Hyundai Kona. It's updated for this year, and I've driven that. And it's funny because a lot of these subcompact crossovers, they like to talk about being entry level and affordable and everything. But this costs just about the same as a lot of those, and in a lot of ways, it's simpler. You've got nice, simple cloth seats. The packaging is, again, without factoring in the practical storage area here, in general, it's a larger vehicle. It's got more practical space inside of it, and you're dealing with a naturally aspirated engine and a CVT that Subaru has been, I don't know if I want to go as far as to say perfecting, but they've been using for so long now that there's no big surprises. You're not dealing with turbocharging. This isn't an overworked, overstressed engine or anything. You've got 2.5 liters of displacement and a pretty straightforward and standard transmission. A lot of people like to talk poorly about CVTs, but Subaru's been using them for a really long time, and admittedly, I haven't owned one for 200,000 miles or anything. I can't verify whether they're unreliable or not. All I know is that Subaru's building a ton of them, and you've got a warranty. So change your fluids regularly, keep up on your maintenance, and I think this is going to be a pretty easy, reliable car for a while. In fact, 85% of the parts content in here is from Japan. If you get the base motor, this car is even built in Japan. This one that we're driving now is built in Indiana. So you've got a simple powertrain. You've got simple stuff inside the cabin here. You've got heated seats, but other than that, no heated steering wheel, no ventilated seats. You do not have navigation, but you got your wireless CarPlay and your Android Auto. No big digital gauge cluster in front of us, just a simple, straightforward display. No crazy voice commands, no crazy haptic controls on the steering wheel. The car works. You get in it and you drive it. And what that means is it means an easy ownership experience, an easy driving experience, and it means Subaru was able to keep costs down. They were able to launch this entirely refreshed model and have this one we're driving here be less than $33,000. That's really cool. I'd rather things just be simple. Give me a car that's satisfying and easy to drive and straightforward, rather than put in a bunch of unnecessary tech and unnecessary development costs and make me pay $40,000 for it. The Crosstrek allows you to focus more on what you're doing with your life rather than the car that you're driving specifically. But saying that it's simple and straightforward doesn't mean you're missing out on technology that I would expect to have from a new vehicle. Subaru still fits this out with all of its up-to-date safety equipment. So you're getting features like rear cross traffic alert, where if you're backing out of a parking spot and there's a car coming by you, it'll beep and flash on the screen to let you know that there's a car coming. Or automatic emergency braking. So if I were to fall asleep at the steering wheel right here and begin to start to crash into one of these cars, it's actually going to apply the brakes for me and try to save itself and my passengers. It's even got a remarkably competent active lane keeping system on the highway, where you set the cruise control and it's adaptive, and then the car actually turns and steers for you. And it's not full self-driving, but when you keep your hands on the wheel, it's like the car is taking care of it for you. And again, at $33,000, I'm really happy with how well that system works. And it's not full of a lot of annoying beeping or crazy setup or anything like that. You just set the cruise and it works. We just had the Lexus RX last week, and it had a lot of safety features as well, but it often felt like it was too intrusive and it was trying too hard to have these safety features, and it didn't feel intuitive. And rather than complementing my driving experience, it felt like it was a hindrance or an annoyance. I do wish that Subaru had some sort of electrified powertrain option for this. I understand that would add cost and complexity. It's just when you look at competition like the RAV4 hybrid, that's what kind of gives me pause, is that you can get sort of an all-wheel drive and more rugged sort of application with a little bit more space inside of it, and you're getting better fuel economy. But the flip side is you're going to pay less upfront with this one. So even though mixed driving, you're only going to get high 20s in fuel economy, and on the highway we got 34 mpg at 70 miles per hour, it's essentially like you either save that money up front or you save it in the long term in fuel economy. So I understand why Subaru might have wanted to just keep it simple, straightforward, just use something that works. Also, for this price point, decently quiet in here. Not only is it quiet, remarkably good ride as well. We'll see in the off-road section that I'll cut to here in a moment. You can take aggressive dirt roads and it really soaks things up. Even with these 18-inch wheels, I was really impressed. Out here doing a little dirty driving with the Crosstrek. I'm a little disappointed we don't have the Wilderness Edition for this stuff, because I'd really be curious to see how gnarly you could get. But it is cool to know that the sport model here of the Crosstrek is still good for people who want to be able to bomb down a road like this and not really worry too much about breaking something on the front of your car or up underneath, or getting stuck if you get stuck in some sort of inclement situation. So let's run it around here a little bit in this fine dirt. We'll mess around on some of the harder off-road sections around here, but we won't get it super intense like we would, or rather I should say like we did in the Bronco Sport, because that Bronco Sport was essentially a Badlands edition and had a little bit more off-road chops. And if this were a woodland, we'd give it a shot, but I don't want to hurt this Crosstrek doing anything that, it's not really meant to do. But so far, I've been pretty happy with this in an off-road sort of setting with the bump damping. It's pretty smooth. And you can kind of tell from the lack of cabin intrusion that it's doing a pretty good job soaking things up as well. I can whip through something like this. I mean, it's pretty rough. It's not like a smooth surface. I don't know how well it's going to come through on camera, but a lot of undulation. Here's some angle right here. Obviously, I'm not going to try to push it to the point where we break something, but I mean, if you were coming down this road, coming back from the hiking trail that's up there, that's a pretty steep bump. Right here, this is a kind of a big whoop, and you can actually drive this thing with some fervor, and it handles it really well. Dirt Road Princess, maybe that should be the Crosstrek's name here. I mean, that's really rough back there, and this might be taking it the best of any of these soft-roader type of cars I've had out here. This is pretty washboarded up, not a big deal. This is a kind of a steep deal. Yeah, it takes it really well. It's nice knowing that you've got approach angle and departure angle in there, so you don't have to worry quite so much for those bigger sort of bumps that you come up onto. The Sport model doesn't get the most aggressive tires on it, so I am curious what's going to happen here if we get up to speed and then slam on the brakes, because that's the most important thing in my eyes about having good all-terrain tires, is if all of a sudden an animal runs across the road here, how quickly am I going to be able to stop? So we're cruising along, having a good time, putzing down this dirt road. Maybe you've got to commute down a dirt road, 45 miles per hour, and all of a sudden, oh snap, animal. I mean, that's not terrible, but it's taken a little while to slow down there. Obviously with four-wheel drive, getting up to speed, not a big deal. This is where I'm going to be curious here. This is our tiny off-road test section. Now that is a particularly difficult spot, and I'm not comfortable taking the Crosstrek up, but I just really don't think it's going to go well. But I do think it should be able to manage this. If this is as competent of a four-wheel drive system as Subaru claims it to be, it should be able to at least make it up this section. So we're going to go here to the car screen, switch into X mode. There's snow and dirt, normal, and deep snow and mud. I guess let's just go snow and dirt. And then I guess traction control is taken care of for us. And then hill descent control is also going to be taken care of for us. Let's bring up the car info screen. That's going to show us our inclines. Right now we're on a 7-degree incline. Okay. Throttle's gotten a lot softer since switching into X mode here. Okay, the Bronco Sport did this pretty easily. I'm trying to remember the car I had before this. Oh, okay, so we're already struggling a lot. it's having to really work on itself. $12 degrees, 13. Oh, I can smell tire spinning. So it's doing it, but you really got to let it do its thing and kind of make it happen for you. It doesn't happen in a way that you'd be used to in a conventional four-wheel drive system. You can tell there's a lot of torque distribution going on. Let's try just driving up this hill here and seeing what sort of incline we can get up to. Straighten it back out. Okay, so even in reverse, it's applying brake for me as I back up. There's a degree of that hill descent control coming into play. I think I'm stuck. Oh, there we go. That's so weird. You just gotta kind of let it fight for itself and figure itself out. Alright, what sort of incline can we get to? There's 14, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Alright, 27 peak, and it looks like we're kind of sitting here at 25. Nicely done, little Subi. I think. I don't know. I still think that's much more intense than most people are going to do with a standard sport model Crosstrek here. And then again, the fact that I've been doing all this and haven't scraped the front or anything like that, yeah, that's a pass in my book. So if you're in the market for a car like this and the Crosstrek has come across your mind and you like it, I would recommend, first of all, go drive one. That's one of the most important things you can do in a new car shopping experience. But two, don't listen to those reviews that are going to tell you, oh, it's too slow, or oh, it's got CVT, or anything like that. This car, and I drive a lot of cars. I am very fortunate to get to drive a ton of cars, and I've driven a lot in this segment recently. This Crosstrek is one of the ones that would be on my very short list if I had to go out and buy a new car today, here in, October 2023. I mean, there are little things I would change. I would try to improve a little bit more places to put some things, and I'd probably get the Wilderness just because I might want to take it on a little bit more aggressive off-roading just because of where I live. And I'd probably want to get the 10-speaker Harman Kardon. So really, I'd be spending what, like $35,000 for a brand new car that's remarkably capable, fun to, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say fun to drive, but calm to drive, and new, and cool. It's just cool. It's easy to drive. I like it. Good job, Subaru. So thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully I added something that you didn't see in any other Crosstrek review if you stumbled upon this. And if you do want to see more on it, like I said, check the link in the description. We've got a sound system review, infotainment review, a fuel economy review, a whole bunch of stuff there, all linked below. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, Alpine Green on.